Great to have you with us. Talk to me a little bit about, I want to kind of break this into two parts. How will he be remembered at home in Zimbabwe?
In Zimbabwe, Mugabe, just like anywhere else, will be remembered in very divisive ways. For example, for the people who benefited from his patronage and those who benefited from land distribution program, who remember him fondly. But then for the people in Matabele land, that is the minority group of Zimbabwe, those will not retain very fond memories of Mugabe, I'm afraid, because a lot of them were victims of the Gukuraundi, which was a genocide that happened in the early 1980s. So those are not going to retain very good memories of Mugabe. And those, of course, who suffered economic collapse and political suppression under his rule are not likely as well to have very good memories of Mr. Robert Mugabe.
Interesting, Emmerson Mnangagwa has really revered him as a national hero. What do you make of that designation?
Emmerson Mnangagwa, of course, was expected to say that because ZANU-PF wants to retain some sense of history. And of course, Robert Mugabe is central to the sense of history that the ZANU-PF wants to reclaim. And let us not forget that Mugabe was a seminal figure in attaining Zimbabwe's independence. It's like the way Mao Zedong is remembered by the CCP and Fidel Castro is remembered in Cuba. So even though his successor wants to remove himself from Mugabe's economic legacy, but for him, in order to retain that semblance of credentials as a liberation movement, they have to look at Mugabe as their lodestar of some sort.
What about his legacy being viewed by the West? Because that was a complicated relationship that had soured.
He had a very complicated relationship with the West. You are very right in that. But then there is also some hypocrisy in how he was treated in the West. Because remember, in the 1980s, there was a lot of outcry from within Zimbabwe, especially his political opponents, about how suppressive and intolerant, about how suppressive he was to other people and how intolerant he was to political suppression and to his political opponents. But because he had not yet started encroaching on the rights, so to say, of people of the West, that is the minority Zimbabweans who were of British ancestry, he was lionized by the West. In 1994, during John Major's tenure as the Premier of the United Kingdom, Mugabe was even knighted. This is a person who had created what some people would call a genocide. But then when now he lost the money, he did not have enough money to pacify his war veterans, he had to come up with this ruinous land distribution program that affected white people. That is when now he became repulsive to the Western world especially.